gang, Nikki from Bunny Crafts Oxford here with another Dye With Me video. If you're new to the channel, welcome, thank you for joining us. Please do subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and don't forget the notification bell as well so you don't miss future content. And if you're a returning viewer, then welcome back. Thank you for joining me again. So, what are we doing today? This might look like a very strange setup for you, but well, happy Easter. If you're celebrating Easter on, I think it's Sunday's the 4th. Yeah, I've lost all track of time. It's just one long day for me, but yeah, so I thought I would do a video where we're going to dye a little bit more than just yarn. So for you, for those of you who don't know me and don't know much about me, I live in Oxford, in England, but I am originally from Bulgaria, and I grew up with Eastern Orthodox traditions, and in Bulgaria for Easter we dye eggs. And so we are going to use some cute. Isn't this adorable? I love this. It says Uyaza, so it's egg paint essentially at the top in Cyrillic. So we're going to use some food dye because it's, you know, it's safe for food, and we're going to dye some eggs. Now, because this is food dye, we can then use the dye that we mix for the eggs to dye yarn. As you can see, I've got some containers here with it's nearly boiling hot water, and I have got some dye. I'll show you lots of different packages and ways that dye comes in, and behind me in a pan I've just hard boiled some eggs. And as I'm doing this, I thought it might be quite interesting to have a little bit of a chat about Easter traditions, and the two that are most familiar to me, which is the egg dyeing, as you'll see, and the Easter chocolate egg, which is definitely one of my favourite. So first things first, I'm just going to go grab the eggs and just put them, take them out of the boiling hot water and into this pot here. I managed to get 2 white eggs. The supermarket that I go to most often has started having white eggs. They never did before we left the EU, and I don't really know why. I know that in some places in the world they've bleached their eggs so that they're white, but we'll use this water later. So we're actually going to use the water that we boiled the eggs in to dye the yarn in as well, and I'll explain in a second why. So let's talk about some food dye. I've been dyeing eggs since I can remember, and back in the day when I was a little girl, so in the sort of late 1980s, before the wall fell and things, the egg dye used to come in these tablets here. So this is one of the ways that we get them. They still come in a cute box like this, but they're tablets. But what I don't like about these tablets, as you can see, the dark colors rub off on the yellow, and then the yellow is never like crystal clear, and sometimes you get sort of like greeny yellow, which I don't like. So since then we have had them come in these. These are, I'll pull them out for you. So these are these little sachets. I'll just bring the camera a little bit closer. This time I'm checking it on purpose, yeah. Okay, yeah, it's a little bit better. A slightly less strange angle. So this is like another one of the boxes that they come in with little cockerel. And I think this one's, okay, yes, this is more tablets. And then they also come in this pill form. And finally, my mum sent the next ones to me in a care packet 2 weeks ago, and she'd hidden them in a pair of gloves that she'd bought me. Come with these like cute little vials, and she only sent me 3 colours because that's all they had. So I've got crimson or red, and you can tell it's really, there you go, it's really quite dark and pigmented. Then I think this could be orange or it could be yellow. Honestly, with yellow, some of the pigment that it comes in when it's in powder form, it looks quite orange. And I've left this on, it says green on here. So this is supposed to be green, but you can see it's got quite an orange tint to it. And I reckon it's because the green is obviously a mix of blue and pink and yellow. So the yellow's kind of showing quite strongly. So what I wanted to do, and I'm just going to crack a little bit while I try and unseal this from my mother's absolutely mega sealing techniques. I tell you, she'd send me a pair of gloves, these things, and she'd send me some masks for some reason, because apparently I didn't have enough or the right ones, I don't know. And she'd seal the packet as if there was like gold or something. It was absolutely insane. It took me 15 minutes to get into a packet of gloves and food colour. But that's my mum. She's honestly like the queen of wrapping things. Right, coffee break. Okay. This is good. Right, so I'm going to work quickly because we still need everything to be hot, and this is hot. So, as with everything else when it comes to food dyeing, well, it comes to dyeing anything that's sort of protein based, although eggshells and mostly calcium, but I don't know. We're going to use some vinegar to put in the water. So we're going to put a teaspoon of vinegar in each container, because as we know, that helps the dye bind to not just the fibre, but apparently the predominantly calcium eggshell. I'm just going to give a quick stir. And as you can see, I haven't, apart from this one, which might be a bit too overfilled, I've not filled them all the way to the bottom because, you know, eureka and water displacement. We're going to be putting an egg in here, and that's going to bring the water up, and I even have a feeling that these might be a little bit overfilled. So we're going to do 5 colours. I'm going to do the red from these ones, and oh my god, it's actually getting everywhere already. Look at how pigmented this is. That is bonkers. Okay, I'm going to dub this one in here. Oh, look, let me bring this up to the camera. I love it when it does that. It looks so cloudy. So I'm going to pause this and go put my gloves on, because otherwise I will end up looking like a rainbow. I mean, I do this every time. Okay, I got my gloves, I got a little one of my cloths to wipe things on so I don't ruin my kitchen towels, and I'm just going to give this a really quick stir. And this is insanely bright, so we're just going to leave this in there. So this is the green, so we're just going to carefully open this up and dump it in there. And wow, this is very green, and I'm just throwing the little pots away. So very green. Next, I want to see if I could bring you a little bit closer. Zoom you in while I do it. And this is we're going to find out if this is orange or yellow. It's gonna be yellow, I think. Possibly. She says completely in doubt. Yeah, no, this is going to be yellow. So then we are going to use two of these ones. We're going to do the blue, and what I might do is I might break this open so that it dissolves quicker. Let me just twist the cap right on there. The capsule will dissolve as well, but it takes longer if you just dump the capsule in without cracking it open. And so that was the blue, and that goes into Christmas and telemugs. And so all of these that you see, and let me zoom back out, not all the way. What was there? I don't know. Oh, I don't know how to work my own camera, which is unsurprisingly. Glove back on. Tangled in my glove. Okay, need to actually get a move on. Okay, so we're just going to put these back for a second. Bring the big one forward to dump the purple in. Purple is my favourite colour. Just going to, so it's one of these capsules. Where's the camera? There's the camera. And twist and open. I don't even think I'm going to put the capsule in. I'm just going to, wow, that is dark. Look how dark that is. That is so, oh my god. I don't think we're ever going to be able to use up. Oh, I'm going to see if I can show you this. So on the side here, can you see there is a bit of blue, and there is, yeah, there is like the blue dots. So that this dye, like most purple dyes that you get from food coloring, that are normally made from a combination of blue and I think it's like red 1 or red 40 or something, will end up splitting into, like, will break into the two molecules that make up the colour. So we might end up getting some really funky idea with this. Right, so we are going to dye some eggs now, and this is like my favourite part, and I'm just going to move these around. So in the Eastern Orthodox tradition, and I don't know whether other Christian religions and sects, offshoots, I don't know what the correct term is, because I'm not, I'm going to open a caveat here. I am not a religious person myself. I was brought up in a religious way. My grandma had me baptized during a time in my country where baptisms were actually banned by the Communist Party or the Socialist Party in Bulgaria. So from my grandma I have learned a lot of this, but I have not actually taken on the religious aspect of it. However, this is very much part of my tradition and my culture, and I honour it because it is a part of who I am. And I think in these instances it is important to remember that what makes us is partly our history, our traditions, who our parents bring us up to be, and who we want to be in the end. But we shouldn't ignore that a lot of our traditions are historically very, very religious, and we need to respect that, even if we don't necessarily believe in the backstory of it all. And speaking of backstories, so in the Bulgarian Orthodox, and you have Greek and Russian Orthodox Christianity, the first egg is always dyed in the red dye, and that is because it represents the blood of Christ. And my grandma has told me that also the reason why we dye eggs is the shell of the egg represents the cracking of the tomb of Christ and the resurrection. So we actually crack the eggs in a very particular way, and I'll show you once they're dry. So we're going to put this in here, and it's honestly the most satisfying thing ever. So you put it in, and I mean, it's coming through a little bit pink, but that's okay. And you just leave them for a little while. And I've got a little egg carton here where we're going to put them at the end. So we've got the red one in, so you know, tradition sorted. So we're just going to dip. I think I'm going to put the other white one in purple, just because the brown does meet the colours. The brown eggs meet the colours. So I'm really curious. Oh, it's like lavender, because it has the stamp. Let me show you. So it has the stamp, and the stamp sort of melting, and there's like the dye is already breaking. I'm gonna stir it again just in case, but it's really weird. So just gonna leave that in there and see what happens for 5 minutes. Well, not 5 minutes, just a minute. But then I'm gonna go into the blue. And the eggs have to still be warm when you put them in here. And see, so because the egg is brown, we end up with a teal egg rather than a blue egg. And then when we put the that did something weird. When we put the again, oh, why is that happening? Okay, I have a spare egg because I was afraid I might drop one. So okay, there we go. So when we put the brown egg into the yellow, we end up with more of an orange egg than the yellow egg. You'll see that's kind of coming up orange. Let me swap hands so you see better. Yeah, that's gonna end up orange. That is okay. We do not mind. So, I'll put because the other egg is really dirty. So finally, we're gonna do the green. I love doing these. I'm looking forward to. So I'm filming this the week before Easter, so I'm actually going to be doing this again next week. And one of the other things that is part of our tradition is that, and obviously depending on just how religious and how devout you are, there are lots and lots and lots of rules that come with this, apart from, you know, the first one goes in the red. And one of the things is that the first egg as well that you dye, the red one, and you will dye multiple eggs, we'll do like half a dozen at least, because we have big families, but the first egg goes to the house and it ends up being put up high somewhere where no one else can reach it for the whole of the year. And then when Easter Sunday comes round, before we have what we call an egg fight, where we crack the eggs, and we go and get the egg from last year, and some crazy brave person cracks it open to see just how rotten it is. And depending on how rotten it is, it tells you really how rotten or how good your luck is going to be. And this is something that our family doesn't do anymore because, oh dear Lord, the smell. But some families do still do. And what's been interesting over the years is that depending on where you store the egg, if you put it like in a quite dark, cool place, it's not too bad. And sometimes we've had one that has literally just turned a little bit blue where the shell may have cracked, but that's it. So yeah, that's one of the other crazy traditions that we have. The green one's like really sort of jewel toned. And then the other thing is when you dye the eggs is very important. So the eggs are to be dyed on Good Friday, and if at a push you can't do them on Good Friday, health reasons or whatever, then you have to do them before midday on the Saturday. And that is when all of the preparations have to be done by. So we bake these giant Easter bread plats that are absolutely beautiful. Ooh, sun! Would you look at that? That was a little bit. I might try and find a to go over this, or maybe I'll just put my voice over it. And the sun's going. That's all the sun would deserve. No more sun. So yeah, I have a couple of pictures of Easter eggs and breads that I've made over the years. So I'll put one in here to show you. But yeah, so that is our tradition. I'm just going to have a look at these. These are doing all right. The red ones, it looks red on the camera, but oh my god, it's actually like super pink. I'll try and take a picture afterwards and put a picture of these over the video when they're all done, because we leave them to cool, and we also oil them so that they're all like nice and shiny. This is so beautiful, and the egg has some speckles, like natural speckles, and they've gone deep green. And then the purple, let's see what the purple's doing. Oh, the purple is really purple. Look at that. That is really dark. There we go. So I'm going to pause this for a second just to rearrange this, and I need to get a cloth, and then we'll pour these out and we'll talk about chocolate eggs. Okay, we are back, and I have a couple of kitchen towels. I have a tiny bit of, it's just vegetable oil in here. I've got my carton that I'm going to put my eggs in. So we are going to start pulling them up, and we're just going to dip the kitchen towel in the oil, and then we are just literally going to grab the egg. You end up with, and we just rub it and make a mess, but essentially it just makes them really shiny. Might just pour them all out first. It's making a mega mess. Every year I make a mega mess out of these. Let's pull the yellow one out next. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it in here first. Take our eggs. I think the blue will be like really good. So you see it's nice and it's matte at the moment. So we're just going to take this, put a good rub. Oh, that's nice and shiny. And we rub them down with a clean cloth afterwards, because you can't really do the oiling of the eggs in like a way that doesn't get them like really greasy. So you see, this is orange. This is hardly yellow, is it? But oh well. Okay, we sort of did the red, but this is more pink. I've got a bit of blue purple on there, because I think I had on my fingers when I grabbed the egg, but that's okay. I have a spare egg, and what I might do, I like the purple. I really like the purple. So I'm going to plonk it in the purple again and see what happens. So I'll just put that there for a second. I'm going to get another cloth, because I'm going to get the excess oil off. While I'm doing this, let's talk about chocolate eggs. So I was reading up about this for the video, and I didn't think that chocolate eggs were as old as they were, but apparently they started at some point in the 19th century, so in the 1800s, and they were originally a French and German confectionery that they did, And as you can imagine, like the French and the German patissiers and chocolatiers, these mega elaborate, crazy eggs. And I found a picture of the oldest surviving German chocolate egg that somebody bought for an extortionate amount of money. And I'll put this up, and I'll put the details and the article down in the description. But so they'll make the dark chocolate, and they were for the very, very, very rich, and they didn't come in the UK for a little while. The first person to kind of think about them was the Cadbury brothers. I forget what his first name is. I think it might be John, but I'm probably wrong. So with chocolate eggs, you know, Cadbury didn't think that it was worth trying to compete with the Germans and the French in producing these ridiculous confectionaries, because each one had to be individually painted into a mold and then demolded and glued together and, you know, decorated and all of these things. So it wasn't until Cadbury discovered how to pour melted chocolate into those molds that the chocolate egg really started taking off amongst the British aristocracy in sort of mid to late 1800s, and then possibly late 1800s. I'll put dates and things below because I'm not very good at them, but you know, it was still dark chocolate. It was quite bitter, so it wasn't a big thing. And then Cadbury discovered their dairy milk, and they could pour their dairy milk chocolate into these chocolate egg molds, and lo and behold, the chocolate egg was born in its current form. The majority of chocolate eggs in the beginning used to have these effect on the outside, which they called crocodile. And it comes from crocodile, and it's the scales of a crocodile. So if you think of some of the eggs that we get, they have these like crocodile scale pattern on them, and it has to do with the pour of the milk chocolate in there, but also with the solidity of the structure I think that provides, or at least that is what the Wikipedia article said. But yeah, so the chocolate egg has been around for, you know, about 150 years, and since then we've had white chocolate and mixed chocolate and all sorts of things and little Malteser bits and pieces. Oh, I can't wait to get a Malteser bunny. That's gonna be so good. Nums. Anyway, we're going to get to yarn dyeing in a second. I'm going to show you what we do with these. And I'm going to show you with the yellow / orange and the blue / teal, because they're the two big ones. So let me stand behind the camera and grab our egg. So you can see the egg has got the top of the egg, which is the pointy bit, and then what we call the bottom of the egg, which is the more rounded bit. So in Bulgaria, on Easter Sunday, and you start with the oldest person in the family. They get to pick an egg. You each pick your egg. You pick your fighter, and you start with the sharp end. So you get the youngest person fighting against the oldest person first, and the youngest person gets attacked, and the oldest is the attacker. So the attacked holds the egg as so. The attacker holds the egg as so, and they smash. And that's the cracking of the egg. That represents the cracking of the tomb of Christ and his resurrection. And then whoever was attacked gets to attack with the other side of the egg. So we hold the egg, and aha! So we're 50-50. We have a broken top and a broken bottom. So then you keep alternating until both eggs, or like one egg, is fully broken, and you crack. And oh my! Okay, so the teal is the one that broke. So this egg still has a fight at least in it. So this will get put back, or the person will fight with another one, and each member of the family will have at least fight with another member of the family, which is why we make so many of these eggs as well. So because if your egg gets broken, then you get to choose another one for your next fight, and so on and so forth. And yeah, it's so much fun. And then for lunch, these actually get put into several salads. We do a green salad where it's like lettuce and radishes and boiled eggs. We do a salad with some ricotta cheese and the eggs crumbled in. There is a Polish salad that we do as well. There's several Polish salads actually that have boiled eggs in them as well. So that is the boiled eggs and the Easter eggs. So we have one more Easter egg that we need to rescue from here. Where's the purple one? There's the purple one. Okay. Oh, do you want to see the difference? So hold on, let me try this out. Show you. This is the difference between, this is the white that we put in the purple, and this is the brown egg that we put in the purple, and this is more aubergine. Oh, this is purple. But yeah, so I guess I'm having boiled eggs for lunch. So what are we going to do with all of this awesome colour? That is a lot of dye, isn't it? Like a lot of dye. And I have 150 grams of 100% superwash wool, and I'm going to pause this and set you up by the hob, and we shall do some yarn dyeing, which is essentially what you're here for. But you know, we can dye other things. So be right back. Hello again. Let's turn the heating down. The heat. Okay, so as you can see, I have my full-sized catering pan on the hob. I've got my two hobs on. The back one's the bigger one. This is why it's boiling quite hard here. Well, it's not boiling, it's just bubbling up, but it's fine. I have it on very low immersion, so I put the water that I cooked the eggs in here because there was vinegar in that water. For two reasons. One, we actually needed the vinegar to penetrate into the eggshell while it's cooking for the purposes of dyeing. But then the other reason as well is if you put any sort of acid into the water that you boil eggs for, hard boil eggs, it will help with peeling. I don't really know what the chemical effect of the acid on the calcium eggshell and the membrane underneath it is, but it really does help just peel the egg really easy. So I would do that. We also had a bit of citric acid in the pre-soak for the yarn, but it was literally like half a teaspoon. I'm just gonna open the window. And then we already know that we have a teaspoon of acid in every single one of the colours that we've mixed. So there's going to be plenty of acid, and the likelihood is that this is going to strike quite quickly. There's a lot of yarn in here. There are 350 gram skeins that I'd bought for myself, and I'm probably going to be doing DK socks at the end of this. So yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention is that because I'm using food dye, I didn't mind using my measuring jug like these things to mix the dye in, because it is food dye, it is food safe. So it is okay to use items that you normally would use for food if you're using food dye. If this was acid dye, I would have designated equipment that I use for acid dye, and I just do not ever mix them. Keep them separately if you do want to use professional acid dyes. And yeah, so I just take the spoon out of this. I don't need it. And then I'm going to start with the green just because it's in this comfortable little container. It is ridiculously pigmented, and I think I can't decide what I want to do. I can't decide whether I just want to swirl it through and just randomly apply it, or to just apply it in little dollops here and there, and then just keep doing that with all the other ones. I think I'm just going to do little dollops and see what happens. I'm going to put a little bit of dye here. Oh my days, that is so bright. I'm going to put a little bit of dye here. Just gonna plonk it, pop it down, and then put a bit of dye here. And this is going to be ridiculously saturated. Maybe a bit here, a bit here at the top. I still have a bit of dye left, so we might end up grabbing a dry. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave this here. Yeah, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it as it is, because I want to pop a little bit more down here. Oh my hand's shaking. Okay. I think at the end what we're going to do is I'm going to get a dry skein. I've got a silver Selena skein, and we can try and do like a rainbow effect on it, which will be quite cool. This is also, I'm hoping we'll get a rainbow effect out of it as well. I think I'm going to do the yellow next, because mixing it with the green will get different versions of green. Don't know how this is going to pour. I'm going to go get my other beaker thing just to pour things. I've got my other measuring jug. Might turn the bottom hop on a little bit, and actually I'm going to turn this around. There we go. So up, not down. So I want some of this to absorb before I actually pour too many colours and get it muddy, because this is one thing that this would absolutely do. Stop shaking. Is it will, I'm a bit twisted. There we go. It will turn muddy if we get too many colours on top of each other. And that's my experience with food dye in the past. So I'm just going to do a little bit of yellow here in the corner. Just do a little bit of yellow here. This yellow is so insanely bright. Do a bit of yellow here, so just kind of get it close to the green. And just do a little bit of yellow here. And maybe just a little bit here. So bright. It's going to take so long for this to bind as well, because this is superwash wool. I don't actually know what kind of wool it is. I bought it from a craft store a little while back, and I'd never used it. It's super soft, but it's definitely not merino, I don't think. It just says wool on it, 100% superwash wool, that's all it says. So I have no idea. I'm going to leave this, and I'm actually going to dilute it a little bit with some water from my kettle for our rainbow. It's still insanely bright. Oh, but I actually need it. I'm putting the mug. I have a feeling by the end of this video, I would have used every sort of. I could just put it back in the original cup. Okay, there we go. You've heard me pour this about 50 times. Swish. Okay, we've rinsed the little measuring jug out. We're going to mix the blue absolutely everywhere. Oh. Having a bit of a shake. Yep. There we go. Okay, before I start pouring glue in here, I'm just going to, and again, while this spoon I'm okay with because I use it for eating. It's, yeah, you can still see there's, let me see, so there's quite a bit of green. There's going to be a lot of yellow. So what we're going to do is we are going to sprinkle a tiny bit of citric acid on top of this, and then we're going to cover it up and give it 10 minutes before we add any more colour. So citric acid, I didn't realise as well, like, look at how little citric acid I have left. I have ordered some and it will arrive by the end of the day, that's fine. But I thought I had another like 2 packs of this, and apparently I'd used it up and just completely didn't realise. I have this rule that when I open a pack, I order a pack. So I wonder whether because I had 2 packs of it in my Amazon cart. I mean, I'm completely going overboard with the citric acid here, but because I don't know exactly what type of wool this is, even though it's superwash and superwash tends to absorb your colour quicker, I don't know exactly what type of food dye it is as well, how quickly it absorbs, so I'm just going to err on the side of caution. So I'm going to pause you here. I'm going to cover this up with some foil, kitchen foil. I will eventually get a lid for this pan. I'm just being really, really lazy. And then we'll be back in 10 minutes. Okay, we're back. Most of the colour, yeah, has absorbed. It's been about 15 minutes. Yeah, it's all clear. It's really funny, it wasn't bubbling this hard, and then I pulled the foil off and it just did that. I mean, the hog is on 3, which is barely anything at all, but oh well. Okay, so we have our mega bright blue. I'm so excited to pour this in and a little bit scared. So again, we're just going to try and be as controlled as we can considering the technique we're using. Oh my god, look at that. Oh, we're just going to put a bit here, a bit over here, a bit over, oh, very steamy glasses, a bit here in the corner, a bit here in this corner. I'll mix a bit with the green, which is absolutely fine. I'm just going to put a bit here and see what happens. It will probably end up with like some sort of teal colour, a bit here, maybe a bit here. Yeah, I think I'll leave the rest of this for, dab a little bit. You know how I like to dab. Well, this is striking a lot quicker, and again, steam in some places. I'm just going to use my spoon to just sort of spread it a little bit, and then yeah, we have no idea what the yarn's doing at the bottom, by the way. For all we know, it might end up with like just a lot of I don't know, I'm going to put a bit more here. A lot of white patches. I'm just going to connect these two like so. I don't think we're going to end up with white patches on the bottom, to be honest, because it's really, really saturated. I think we're getting pretty good penetration, in all honesty. And I'm going to put a bit here as well. Tiny bit. Just a dab. And there's not a lot of yarn in the pan as well, so it should be fine. So I think I'm going to do this, and then I'm just going to pull this back in the, rinse this out. along with the blue. I'm leaving the red last, which I might regret. There isn't actually a lot of spaces left to pour things in. I'm going to do a little bit of purple. I'm going to do a little bit of purple. I think I'm going to do it up there with the green, and we're probably going to end up with a bit of brown. Oh my god, look at how deep that is. Oh, where's my spoon? Let's get it closer to the camera. Let's do a little bit over here. So we're going to do a little bit here. It's so saturated. That is bonkers. Oh my days. I was mixing with the yellow. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the areas where it's mixed a little. I keep getting steamed. I leave a couple places like here and stuff for the reds. I believe there's a white patch just here as well. But I think, out of curiosity, I'm going to pour a bit here, even though there's pretty much everything else in that area. I think as well, maybe a little bit here. I'm going to use the spoon. I'm just going to spoon it on because it gives me a tiny bit more control. And then I think I'm going to spoon a little bit over here, over the blue, over the whole blue, just a little bit of the blue. We have so much purple left, yo, but it's so pigmented. Oh my god, this is madness. Yeah, let's put a bit more. It can't hurt, right? Famous last words. Okay. Do you know what? I'm going to put the red in as well, and then on my head here, let's just rinse this nicely. And I'm feeling the red's going to be more pink than anything. Let's go with this. Okay. So it's very pink to my eyes. I don't know. I need to have a look in the back of the packet actually to see which red it is. So I'm going to start with here so you can actually see it. Pour this one in your spoon. I need my spoon. The spoon controls the flow. Oh my god. Brightness overload. This is mega rainbow. This is like what happens if a unicorn throws up. There's just rainbow barf. Sorry, I could not help myself. That's what it makes me think of. Okay, there's like bits of white here, and I essentially am like, I'm not going to leave any white at the end if I can help it. So I'm just going to do this. I don't know what the red's going to do when it mixes with the green. Oh, I dripped on the green. But when it mixes with the yellow, it should make a little bit of sort of orange. This is so bright. Oh my gosh. Probably did like the green splotches were a bit too big. So now we just don't have enough for like all the other colours, but who cares? It's fine. I think the red is so pigmented and so saturated as well that it's like it's still red. It's just many different versions of red. Okay, I think now I need to turn the hobs on because it's cooling down. Pour a bit here and pour a bit here. Pour a bit here. Oh yeah, I'll do a bit here as well. listen, gone up by 1 hob. My hobs are just so ridiculous. Okay. I think I'm do a little bit here. I'm just gonna. Oh, I got a waft of like mega citrusy vinegary stuff. Ooh. There's a bit here that I could do. I need to have somebody, like I need one of you to like stand by me and be like, okay Nikki, you need to stop messing with this now. But I mean, wow, that is bright. I've just looked at it through the camera. It looks so much brighter on the camera than it is in real life, and I thought it was really bright in real life. It's a really great day here today. As you saw earlier, we had a little bit of sun, but that was all the sun we were gonna get. There's a little bit here that I feel like I could get away with. This is going to be genuinely like the most variegated piece, like bit of yarn I have ever worked on. Alright, so we're going to cover this up and we're going to give it 20 minutes to half an hour. We'll see how long the red actually takes to strike. Reds can be quite quick. Yeah, in a lot of places it's already like pretty much done. But there's some areas where the heat isn't getting to, let's move this a little bit, as well. So it takes a little bit longer for the heat to get to like the corners of the pan, just because the pan is so much bigger than the hobs. I have a hob here and a hob here. But yeah, I might turn it round. We'll see. All right, so we'll be back to do a Silver Stellina rainbow with the remaining of our dye. I'm probably going to do the Silver Stellina as sped up with just some music over it, because this video is already an hour long. I'm probably going to end up speeding a few of these bits and pieces for you as well. See you in a bit. have our dry yarn, and is this not ridiculously bright? Just look at how bright this red is here, and blue as well. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm so pleased with this yarn. I think it's so beautiful. We have so many different colors, and I was quite unsure about the technique that we used for the DK skeins, but I can't be happier. They look really tie-dyed actually. Like if you have a look at the effect, and we've got even some white preserved, which is I'm not mad at that. I think it's really pretty. That purple as well is so madly saturated. I just love it. So yeah, these are 3 little DK skeins. They're all 50 grams each. That's why they look quite sort of doody and cute. I have no idea what I'm going to make with them, to be honest. It could, depending on how this knits up, I will knit up a swatch and put it up on my Instagram. You can find the link below. Oh, let me sit down. Oh, I was kneeling behind the camera and it was really uncomfortable. So you can see how this knits up. Tom has actually called dibs on this one. I was originally going to put it on the website, and he took one look at it and he absolutely demanded that we make him rainbow socks that sparkle. So that, you know, when he sits down, somebody looks down at his socks and they're just absolutely fabulous. And I love that about him. Long live flamboyance. But yeah, so this is complete and utter segue. This is the rainbow yarn that we dyed. The second skein that we dyed, that actually went a little bit, I don't know if you can say a little bit wrong, but we kind of ran out of purple, and we ran out of a little bit of blue, and we obviously ran out of red, so we've got a little bit of a patch here. But I think this proves 2 things. The first thing, you enjoyed talking with my hands. The first thing is that even when things go wrong, they can actually go terribly right, and you'll end up with something beautiful and very usable. Because this is gorgeous. The colors are very saturated, the yarn is super soft, the sparkle is still there. And one of the comments in the previous videos that I had was mentioning that one of the reasons why the silver stellina was disappearing, or had disappeared, of my 5% stellina yarn was because the acidity was too high. I put this in ridiculously high acid to make sure that this blues and purples don't bleed, because they do have a tendency to. And we still have the silver stellina, so I'm going to get some more of that other yarn and do a test, but I digress again. So the first thing is that even when we make a mistake, we can still end up with absolutely gorgeous yarn. And the second thing is that even with food coloring, you can get something very intense, very bright, very fun. So if you are a hobby dyer and you are dyeing yarn just for yourself, you don't have to go through the expense of buying different pots and pans and acid dyes to dye your yarn. You will just need some food coloring, citric acid or vinegar, and a pot, a pan, whatever is comfortable. Put it on the hob. Or another thing that a lot of people do is they use their big glass Pyrex dishes instead of the big kettles that we have. They dye their yarn, and to set it, they put it in the oven on a low temperature, I think maybe like 130, 150 degrees, and heat it that way. So that is an option as well. So, and this yarn will last. It will not, because you've essentially bound the colour molecule to the fibre, provided that you wash it properly the way that you would wash all of your hand knits, with care and attention, and you dry them gently as well. You don't chuck them in the tumble dryer or anything like that. This will last. There are knits that I have dyed with the original food colouring when I first started dyeing that have been out in the sun loads and they haven't faded. So definitely, you know, if you want to try dyeing yarn, but you know, you want to do it on a budget, absolutely can do, and you can end up with gorgeous yarn. So after this soliloquy, I am going to say thank you very much for joining me for another Dye With Me video. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the thumbs up, because it really helps. Share the video out with to other people. You can buy my yarns on my website, which will be in the link. There'll be a link below in the description. If you want to support the channel further as well, you can go and buy me a coffee. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss future content. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.